Hey,
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 hey.
everybody.
What's
How
going
we doing
on?
tonight? How you doing tonight, Christopher?
I'm doing fantastic, bruh.
Campfire, Christopher. Or is it
Cathole
Christopher Campfire?
Carson. It's Cathole Carson and Campfire Chris.
That's what it is. Hey, everybody. We're excited tonight. As you know, tonight we are having Slone's Wilderness Expedition on. Mark will be here with us in a little bit. But before we get started, we want to say hello to everybody that's in the chat so far. We got Jeremy and Tanya. So what's going
And
on, fellow
Sparky. Don't
hikers?
forget Sparky.
Oh, Sparky's probably there too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, so before we bring Mark in, we wanted to talk a little bit about the trip we had this past weekend out at Charles C. Dean, right, Chris?
Yeah. It started out one way, it ended out another. We were going to do a 4.5 mile hike out to a new pond, and we stopped at the pretty site 25, and we're like, I don't want to go any further, or I
No,
was.
it's that's one of those spots. It's so hard to pass up. It's so beautiful, and it was
Yeah.
open, and it's supposed to be a packs off. Let's take a 10-minute break, and we didn't leave till the next morning. But
Right.
but if y'all can believe it too, if you've seen the videos, we actually were together, and we did have great weather.
Oh, fantastic weather.
Beautiful. Was I think the low I saw on my thermometer was 35 over Saturday night, but just
Yeah.
sunny, beautiful skies. So that was awesome.
My
So
only thing is that I had a tent and I didn't sleep.
you slept. Trust me, I heard a little bit. Either that or
No,
you
no,
had a grizzly
that
bear in
wasn't
your.
sleep. That was that
You had a
wasn't
grizzly
sleep.
bear growling next to your tent or something. Something was coming from your way.
Yeah.
But the trail medic just joined, Philip Beal. Hey
Hello,
guys.
hello. Hey guys.
So we did have great weather. The site is beautiful as always, but there was a little downside to it too, and we're gonna just discuss that real quick.
Yeah.
Um, so pet peeves of most of us is people leaving trash everywhere they go and to different campsites, and I don't know if it's because people just don't care or they're just not educated and leave no trace,
Both.
whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I try to always mention it if I see stuff like that, just because I hope that maybe somebody's watching our video and or my video or Chris's, whoever. We both do it. We're really good about like mentioning it, just maybe educating the public more about like, hey, you packed it in, pack it back out.
Yeah.
Basic rules.
The sad part is that the people that watch our videos are probably the responsible people. So it feels like we're complaining all the time to those people
Right.
who do the same thing we do. And
I know.
so
I,
the
I try
people
not
who
to,
do it are not watching our videos.
yeah. I try not to make a big deal about it in the videos. Man, I mean, you see my face. I was pretty pissed, not to lie. But so we pulled into the camp and everything, and we're looking at, okay, we'll stay here. Fire pit just full of just metal and
Yeah.
foil, which probably had food scent on it, is why it was strung everywhere in the campsite because animals are going to get into it. And that
Yep.
does attract animals, guys. So obviously, and then, we planned to pick that up and get everything set up. I looked over and I was like, what's that? Walked over by a tree, a whole nother huge garbage bag full of trash and a sleeping bag. So
Yeah.
just pretty big bummer. Yeah, when you're out there and it's so beautiful and then you see just people not giving a crap and leaving trash out. So what are you going to do about it, Chris?
What am I going to do about it?
Tell us
Actually,
what you're going to do about it.
it's kind of bothered me all week, and so on Sunday I'm going back out there, and I'm taking some trash bags and I'm going to clean all that up and bring it back. Luckily, my pack will be lighter, so it'll be. I was going to do a day hike anyway, and I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone by cleaning that site up. So that's what I'm going to do. I think me and Hoot. I think Hoot's going. I don't know anybody else who's said they will, but yeah, we're just going to clean it up and pray it doesn't happen again. It will.
Well, good on you, man, and good on Hoot if he goes too. I for one appreciate it that hopefully it's going to be a lot better next time we go through because I'm sure we'll be at that site. That's one that we go
Oh,
to
yeah.
now and then, and just leaving it better than you found it, right?
Yep, that's what you got to do.
That's what we got to do. So we'll say hi to Brian West, Zone 58 Adventures. Ross has joined us.
Russ.
Nicole has joined us. So cool. The gang's all here.
Yep, yep.
So without further, uh, uh, I
Don't
won't
say
do it
that.
to you.
Yeah, don't be a typical YouTuber and just say further ado.
So let's bring in Mark and get to talk about him. Enough about us and us
Yeah, this is
Ratchet
about
John.
him. It's not about us. All right, here we go. Pow.
There he is. Surprise. We gotcha. Hey, Mark, glad to have you. How you doing tonight?
I am good. I'm glad to be here. Always a viewer. It's nice to be on talking
Absolutely.
to the actual duo here.
Well, it's good to see you. I don't think you and I have gotten to speak one on one anyway since the fall meetup. So
Right.
good to have you on tonight and talk about you and your channel and all your adventures. Right, Chris? Pay attention.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
I'll have to
I'm
you
looking
know.
for trolls. I'm doing troll alert. So
I'll have to wake him up from time to time. So I apologize for that. You guys have seen the show by now or heard the show if you're listening on podcasts. So let's get right into it, Mark. What got you into the outdoors?
Well, probably growing up in the 70s and 80s, I had two older brothers that loved fishing and camping. So my dad was always working, didn't have time for that, but my brother sure did. And so that started it. And most of our stuff was done in Salamone State Forest and Reservoir up there in Wabash County back then. But then really, that's pretty much where it was limited to up until the early mid 2000s. And when Caden Catfish was about 3 years old, we started taking him to some parks like Turkey Run and such. And that's when it just, I was like, whoa, hey, I'd never been to Turkey Run all those years in Indiana. And that kind of opens your eyes. Then I wanted to discover everything Indiana offered that I'd been missing. And of course, it's just exploded since then.
Right. So you're born and raised in Indiana, I take it?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
My parents were from Kentucky. So we did a lot of trips down to Kentucky to see family when I was a kid. But yeah, me, I'm a hoobilly.
So with your love of the outdoors, what made you decide to do YouTube?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably around 2010 when I was planning a Smoky Mountains trip. And I hadn't been there in 10 years at that point. First time taking Caden there. And I was researching trails that they could handle, him being kind of 7 years old at the time, and got on YouTube and started finding all these videos of trails to hike and everything. I was like, I could do that too. And that just, it just kind of snowballed over the years from that. And it's amazing when people actually start viewing them too. It's like, oh, hey.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird in a sense. You're like, this is just for me.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then, like you said, it starts snowballing, and then you have just this huge documentary of the last 11 years of all your guys' journeys together and everything. And we were talking before the show, and I brought up to Marcus that I didn't realize that he has public 365 videos right now on his channel. And he was telling us he's got a lot hidden. You said, Caden didn't want like all of his buddies to see as he's a grown young man now and, him as a little kid, but we do have, right. But we do have one video that I asked Chris to pull, and sorry, Caden, I don't mean to embarrass you if you see this, but this is
I'm not sorry,
just this is too cute not to show. So this is Caden. How old would he have been here, Mark?
That was 2011. So he would have been 8. Wait, am I thinking right? 7.
Okay. So this is him getting his Smoky Mountain Junior Ranger certificate and badge and everything. So if you guys want to go check this out on Mark's channel, it's only about a minute and a half long, but look at that. I mean, that's how we got to know him. So, I mean, awesome memories, right? This YouTube thing that we do, it's that's part of it. Is you can always look back and see all those great memories of, in your case, your son growing up with you and doing all these great, amazing adventures. So speaking of adventures, if you guys are new to Mark's channel, just to name a few places that he's been. So we were talking earlier, we decided like Mark should be working on the Department of Tourism for Indiana because there's pretty much everywhere in Indiana you can think of. He's probably been there. But to name a couple others, Smoky Mountains, Red River Gorge, all over Colorado, the Adirondacks, Shenandoah National Park, Badlands, trips in Florida, Grand Tetons, and I'm sure I'm missing some more. But just going through your channel, just like he's been here. I can imagine the stories you have that's not on YouTube and all those adventures as well.
It's that wanderlust. Once you get into that, man, it's
Yeah.
It's just,
Yes.
it's like a drug abuse or a drug addict, you know, you want that fix. So you start looking for the next place to go. It's
Yeah.
kind of the way it feels.
Now I know Caden is into the flora and all that and the insects and that, but when you first got started on all these adventures, was it about like what it is for everybody, like the views and the
Yes.
vistas and all
Yes,
that?
especially for me, and it still is. The
Yeah.
scenery is just, I just love, you know, finding new and unique scenery. And but yeah, for Caden, he's all about the life, the plant life, the bug life, the wildlife. That's what he thrives on.
And
So
so you do a good job of mixing what he's into with what you're into, because I know that you allow him some time to talk about the flora. I've seen you give him some segments on that in the videos.
mhm.
Then you're like, hey, look at this view. Right.
Swing.
You're right.
Yep,
Right.
exactly what it is. Yes.
So
I try to include everything so that, you know, if somebody watches our video and it's a place they're thinking about going to,
Yeah.
I want them to be able to get a full view. You know, you got the scenery as well as the little things too. You know, sometimes it's those small things that you don't really think about that are some of the best things once you actually do start looking.
That is true.
and your videos are super informative too. Like besides the, you know, I think you have great editing and you've came a long way with that. Like, I mean, your editing is spot on. Your narration, I love that. I wish like I was saying, I wish I had the drive to actually do that. And then a lot of times you'll show the maps too at the end and you'll show your routes and show everybody like this is the routes we went. And a lot of great information comes from that. So I appreciate it as a viewer as well.
Yeah.
Real quick note, guys.
I want you to narrate my obituary. I think I've told you that.
Yep, it's in the books now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So everybody that's in the chat tonight, if you're watching this live on YouTube, if you guys have any questions as we go along for Mark, please put them up on the comments and put like question and caps. And then
I got
hopefully
that.
Chris will see that. Did you already put it in there?
It's on the ticker.
Okay. Oh, maybe I should read the ticker that you put up there. Way to go, Chris. Look at you on top of things tonight. I'm so proud of you.
This
You're
is much
coming along
easier
too,
than
buddy.
Jeremy's.
Yeah, I asked you to pull one clip, right?
Yeah.
But I'm proud of you, Chris. You're coming a long way. You can learn a lot from Mark tonight too, as well.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
So I mentioned a lot of the places that you've been. Take us back memory lane on a couple, maybe starting out wherever you would like, just on a couple that have really stuck out that you and Caden have really enjoyed.
Well, the biggest adventure we've ever done, of course, was in 2018 when we just piled our stuff into a little Subaru Crosstrek and headed across country and hit like 10 or 11 national park properties. Because I had never been with neither one of us had ever been west beyond Missouri at that point.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was something else, you know, seeing the Tetons, the Rockies, Yellowstone, Yosemite, Zion, places like that, Death Valley and all. And but Yosemite was like bucket list for me, you know. I mean, a lot of them are, but that one especially. And we spent like 4 days there. And Caden and I went up Cloud's Rest. We couldn't get permits to go up Half Dome, or we would have done Half Dome at that time. But you know, Caden was 13 at this time. And Cloud's Rest, once you get up to that top, it's actually higher than Half Dome, and you're looking down on Half Dome, in fact. And it was just spooky views all around us. Not spooky, but to me they were amazing. For him, they were spooky, I guess you say, from that height.
What's across from Half Dome? Directly across from it's like a president's name.
I know there's El Capitan, and then there's so many of those different little domes and knobs and stuff.
But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about a different Cloud's Rest.
Cloud's Rest is kind of behind Half Dome.
Okay. I'm gonna look it up while you're talking.
But that's one I still go back and rewatch that video a lot because it's one of my favorite adventures all time, just in general. But the funny thing about that is it was earlier that year, I think, that he and I had gone to Red River Gorge and got to Indian Staircase. And I don't think we'd ever done Indian Staircase yet at that point. And I was kind of scared for him, you know. Well, we got up there and I'm like getting my footing going up that Indian Staircase, and I look up and he's already halfway up it. He just took off and had no problem at all. And that changed my perspective a lot on what he was capable of at that age. All of a sudden, I was like, okay,
oh yeah,
he's finally reached that point where now I'm the slow one. and he can do all this stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say also Zion Hidden Canyon. Hidden Canyon is
Yeah.
currently closed, I think, because of rock falls from a couple of years ago. But when
Oh.
we went there, Angel's Landing, the Narrows was closed because of storms that had wiped out the trail. So I think Narrows was actually because of flash flooding. So that's why we did the Hidden Canyon. And it's actually higher than Angel's Landing with sheer drop off on the side. You have to hold on a chain when there is a chain. And he scared the bejesus out of me on that because he didn't want to hold the chain. He's just walking along on this ledge that is maybe 1.5 feet wide and slants. So yeah, he's surprised me a lot of things, but I put him in some probably precarious predicaments that maybe some people thought I shouldn't have too. But he loves it. He loves the adventure.
Yeah, I know Zion. I'd like to return there. I've done Angel's Landing. But yeah, there's so much. I love when you go all those places without reservations. Yeah,
that's the way we do it. It's hard because to make reservations, you got to plan at least 6 months in advance,
Right.
especially now. In 2018, a lot of things still didn't require, reservations to drive through the park and reservations for trails and such, other than, Half Dome. But now it's really difficult to do that. Are we going back to Colorado this year? We're going to go through. That's all I know for sure. Because we have a Utah trip coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
So I don't know anything else about that. I know the summer we're hoping to get up to Glacier National Park.
Oh,
That's been one of those things we've hoped to do for probably 3 or 4 years in a row. And for one reason or another, we've not been able to make it. So we'll see. And then again, that's part of that whole doing things on the fly and not doing any reservations. And Boy, Glacier requires reservations for everything nowadays.
So
I was going to ask that about reservations too, because I was just looking about. My wife and I were trying to decide what we're going to do this summer, and I thought I've never been to Rocky Mountain National Park. Besides, when I was over the road truck driver, I've driven across Colorado many times, but you don't get to see stuff like that. And we were looking, and it's like you can start making reservations for June, is when we're kind of talking about going in May. So it's like that leaves us like 4 to 6 weeks to probably get all of our hotel and a flight out and this and all this. It's like, man, they just make it hard, I guess. So
They do. Yeah, and the great thing though about somewhere like Colorado is there's so much public land around there, all the national forests. And that's what we've done on that. We go out there, there's many apps now. I've always used iOverlander or freecampsites.net, but there's also the Dirt, Campendium, all of those that have all of these free campsites or where there's forest dispersed camping and such, and of course then you got to worry about whether you have a vehicle that can handle some of the back roads too.
Have you ever been on a trip where you've done a no reservation trip and been worried that you wouldn't have a place to sleep or you wouldn't find one?
To some extent. I mean, like for instance, Florida. Of course, this last one we just did, we actually had reservations at the campground, and that's why, because Florida is very, very bad for boondocking, at least in the south.
Yeah.
Further up north, you got some good national forests that can make it happen, but and even when we went up to the Adirondacks, I've looked ahead of time finding places. Of course, then you're just hoping that these are accurate. You don't know. You might get there and it says no overnight parking or whatever for all you know.
That's so true.
That's when you got to start thinking about stealth camping, finding somewhere. And, we have it set up where all our windows are blacked out. So if we was to stealth camp and park somewhere, nobody would know we're in there. Of course, and the downside is being just a regular vehicle. In the middle of the night, if you got to use the restroom, you don't want to be in somebody's parking lot or something, getting out trying to find somewhere to go. That's the downside to stealth.
So you've got the back of your Trailhawk built out pretty well. You've got a sleeping platform and all that, correct?
Yes, I do.
That's a good video.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I have fun doing that. It's not that difficult. It's really basic. I mean, compared to the one I had done in that Subaru Ascent, which was a lot more, had all kinds of openings and everything. And of course, that was just a lease, so I didn't have that more than 3 years. But so I kept this one simple, and it does just as well. It doesn't take much, really.
Yeah, I like how you showed doing it though.
Yeah. So are you ready to take the Trailhawk down to Red River Gorge with a trip with Jeremy?
Maybe.
Maybe. Hey.
Yeah, you guys did I bet. I don't know. Lance could handle it with his Renegade. Then I'm thinking maybe I got a shot.
You could definitely go on a big majority of them. I mean, everything that he is, obviously, I think your Trailhawk is probably a little higher even in ground clearance than his. And I mean, there might be a trail or two you wouldn't want to take it. I wouldn't recommend it, but
Right.
but yeah,
I'd
he
say
went pretty
land
good.
between the lakes before the gorge, because land between lakes, it's all flat. You just going through
Yeah.
mud puddles.
That's on my list of places to go. Hopefully, to get down
Yeah.
there soon.
I can show now. I've been down there a few times. I've got some places I can show you.
Awesome.
Some really cool, backcountry truck camping or whatever places.
Nice. So I've been down there once, but I didn't camp there. So
Yeah,
I kind of hear maybe a group trip sometime going.
That's what I'm thinking.
That would be sweet. Get a little convoy down there. I'm sure Jeremy would be in. He'd probably drive back right now from Las Vegas to meet us. But so, like we were talking, you've been to a lot of amazing places. Is there somewhere that's on your bucket list that you would just haven't not been yet?
that's hard to say. I mean, there's so many, really. I mean,
Right.
we're just, and I'm just thinking about America here because there's so much when you go out elsewhere. But like you guys, I know are doing the John Muir Trail there in California, hopefully in 2025, and everything in the Sierra Nevadas, I just absolutely love. Just the one time being there, I want to go back there so bad. But really, just all of the Pacific Northwest as well. I have not been to Pacific Northwest yet.
I haven't either.
So high on my list. Everything I see, I've got all these pins and all these saved things. If I ever get there. So
there's a trail in the Olympics, I think, and it's called the Eagle Creek Trail. And I saw a video on it, and of course the videography was great. It was all perfect coloring and all that. But it goes along a creek, and it's like you're in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And I've really wanted to go to that trail.
That's the stuff that gets me excited right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife, she has, I guess it would be her cousin's daughter. I think that's how it is. She's related to her somehow. She's kind of been a park ranger at a bunch of different national parks. She was in Zion, actually, the last time we went out there, and that's the first time I met her. But now she moved up to Olympic, and she's up there. And man, the picture she puts on Facebook, I'm like, that's her office every day.
Yeah,
I've been, again, over the road truck driver I was for a lot of years. I've been through the Sierra, over Lake Tahoe area and that kind of stuff. And I've been all the way up through Portland, Washington. And it's just, I could not imagine hiking that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's just, I couldn't even imagine, just from what I've seen from the interstate.
That's such the great thing. Even if you don't have time, like being an over-road truck driver, the scenery is just, and everything out there is a scenic drive. I swear, you can't drive more than 10 miles without it's crossing a scenic drive somewhere or something, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So
well,
true.
I always liked going out there. There was a love and hate when I drove over the road. It was like, well, I just got to get through Kansas and Nebraska and those flat states, like they're pretty in their own right, but it's like, across the Kansas on the interstate was like 450 something miles of just pretty much flat before you got to the pretty stuff. But
the only pretty place in Kansas is Flint Hills, in my opinion, right outside of Kansas City.
Not familiar. So I don't know.
It's right as you're going on 70.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, I'm sure, that's beautiful, and they get a bad rap because usually what people see of those states are I-70 or I-80, and it's just flat and boring,
Right.
Same thing with like South Dakota, it's pretty much flat and everything, but they have little spots off to the side that are beautiful.
Yeah.
So what about Indiana? You've been all over the state or somewhere in Indiana.
For Indiana.
I'm curious if there's like someone's like, I've been meaning to get there for all these years and just have never gotten there. This is the hard one.
I still got a few nature preserves that I haven't hit yet, and but I don't know that I really have a list for Indiana, and there's a problem where that whole wanderlust thing comes in, like the Knobstone. I've not done the Knobstone. Everybody tells me I should be doing the Knobstone. My problem with it is not the trail itself, because I guarantee it'd be beautiful. But when I stop and think about 3 or 4 day adventure, I'm like, I'm getting out of state. If I got 3 or 4 days, I'm going to Kentucky or I'm going somewhere with mountains or something, and that's my problem. It's not that I don't think it would be awesome. And also getting Caden interested in going to do that as well is a little more difficult there. So eventually though, I'll be doing more stuff like that as he builds his own life, doing his own thing with his own friends and stuff.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is like now that he's in college and he's doing his own thing, how much more are you going to be doing solos or be open to hiking with like other people?
Oh, it's coming. Let's put it that way. There was about a year and a half there, 2018, 2019, when Caden was living with his mom down in Tennessee. And so I was up here all by myself, and that's when I did things like the adventure hiking trail and some other stuff. Of course, it was all solo, but I've really got out and explored a lot more on my own that way. And I'm sure that's going to come along and happen again. But, now I'm building up a lot more personal relationships with people that I can actually get out there with. So
like everybody here in the chat.
Pretty much. Yes, absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to that too.
So if you're wanting to do the Knobstone, Chris is wanting to do it as well. Maybe you guys do like
I did 10 miles of it. That's enough.
You got to finish it, Chris. You're that hiking guy. This has to be done.
And there are some people that do this stuff at such a pace that I can't even comprehend. I mean, I've seen people doing the adventure hiking trail in one day. I'm like, why?
I think Riddle did that. And Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm 53 years old too. Right. I have no desire to go that fast. But I don't know. I guess if I could do it, maybe I would. That's the difference.
The problem is that, let's talk just between us 53-year-olds, right? Let's let Junior aside for a second. The problem is that the soul wants to do these things and the body won't let you, right?
Yes. When I start climbing up hills, my heart says, "Oh, let's slow down right now." Yeah. And you watch my videos and this stuff, and I'll say something about that. Ooh, gotta take a little break. What you don't hear is all my heavy breathing, because I will literally just cut off. I'll mute that section of video because I'm like behind that camera.
That's where music is really effective in the editing process.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Jimmy, can you join us now?
All right, I'm in the under 50 club. The Knobstone is beautiful. I would like to go back and do it again and do it maybe a couple more days, or maybe just sections, stuff like that. Because when I did it, I planned to do it in 3 days, and I rushed through it really. But
I'll do it to train for the John Muir Trail. I'll use it when we if we want to do it next year. I'll use it for that.
So that's good motivation for it there.
Yeah,
you're training for something like that.
I still have to get the adventure hiking trail under my belt. I've tried 3 times to hike that trail. 2 times I had it planned out with 2 different people, and it just rained and rained and rained, and we knew it was going to be flooded. And then the 3rd time, Chris and I went, and it rained a few days prior. And we got there. What did we get? Like 6 miles in, and some of it was bushwhacking, trying to get around the flooded sections. We finally had to call it and hike back out up a ravine and over to a road and back. It was just
so awful.
About killed Chris that day too. There's many times I'm almost killed you, haven't I?
That's kind of ironic too, because most of the year that trail is so dry.
Right.
Right. Yeah. The trail that has no water on it's notorious for having to cache your water.
Yes.
That's the one I can't hike because of all the water. So still got to get that one under my belt, and then I can almost have the Indiana Triple Crown. I've got a couple miles on the Tecumseh.
I think we start at the beginning and start that over.
I would through hike it again for sure.
Yeah.
That one I have a personal vengeance with.
Me too.
Yeah. So, anyways, Knobstone Chris, we're calling you, buddy.
Next year.
Next year, he says. So, do you have any ambitions, or does it interest you at all, any of the long trails, or are you just more like hey, I like to get out for a couple of days kind of thing?
Oh, the interest is always there, but I don't see myself ever being able to have that kind of time to go out and do it. I just got to work, I know you do some of the section stuff, so that's about the only way it could ever happen is doing sections, I guess.
I don't know if I've ever asked you, what do you do for work?
I just work at Subaru, the automotive factory here. I'm just a regular old factory guy.
That's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Do you get a discount? Can you help brother out? No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, there is.
Talk to me after the show, he says.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, I can't convince my boss to give me, like 5 months off to go through hike the
Right.
AT.
I mean,
So, like you said, I think when you get to our age, or in your 40s, 50s, you establish your career, stuff like that. You're not a fresh college kid, just like
yeah,
getting your life started, or you're not retired. And that's what I saw a lot of last year. My first section hike was they were either in their early 20s out of college, or a lot of retired guys. There was very few my age.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to start section hiking. I was like,
right.
if I'm
Easy.
ever going to see any of this, I need to start doing it now. And I'll see as much of it as I can see. And if I finish it, sweet. If not, I saw this much of it. So, but yeah, so no real place that stands out. Do just the nature preserves in Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, there's a few I still need to see.
Which ones? Which ones are you wanting to see?
Well, like the Cave River Valley, I've not been to that one yet.
Oh, dude.
Beaver Bend Bluffs or something. I can't remember. I'm probably getting that name wrong now.
What is it?
Another one. Something about Bluffs of Beaver Bend or something to that effect. That's
I don't know that one.
I see it listed occasionally in some of the hiking groups for Indiana.
Have you been to Bean Blossoms? Tanya just went there.
Yes, I've been there a couple of times. It's amazing in spring with all the flowers popping up through the water.
Yeah.
Love that one.
So Cave River Valley is also equally beautiful in spring. Dude, you got to see that one. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Me and
list.
Keith did that. Yeah.
Because we haven't done any major weekenders like we used to, Caden and I, there in southern Indiana. Because that's all we would do. We would take off for the weekend and just start hitting all these different nature preserves and such down there. And so we need to find time for that at some point again.
You and I have had a similar like a linear path. We've been following each other because like all the places that I see you go, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go there because he went there, and like we've been to the same place, a lot of the same. I was doing a exploration of Indiana as well. Like, well, what's here?
Right.
Lower third of the state. What's here?
Yeah, you guys, that's true. You guys have both been to a lot of the different nature preserves and stuff like that. I've personally gone to each one of your channels before, trying to just find somewhere that is a closer day hike for my wife and I to do. And like I said, maybe you guys need to get together and work with the start selling your videos to the tourism department for Indiana or something.
As long as it doesn't require an expensive permit,
Right.
So Mark, you've also seen all three of the arches.
I have not seen what's the Arrowhead, the one that's close to Hemlock Cliffs.
Yeah,
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've not been to that one yet. I wasn't even aware of it until I posted the video of the Yellow Birch.
Ravine
Arch. And I posted something on there about that video about these are only ones that I know of, and then of course everybody comes on there. Oh, there's the one up here by Hemlock Cliffs. I was like, oh.
You've been to Portland though, right? You've been to the Portland one? Okay.
Yes.
Those are the only three that I'm aware of. I would love to find a lost one somewhere.
Right. I was gonna say the Portland, Yellow Birch Ravine, the Arrowhead, and some people consider the back end of Wolf Cave there at McCormick's Creek to be a arch.
That's
it's a collapsed section of cave,
right?
But
that's debatable.
It is debatable. You're right about that. But yeah, that's the only ones.
I can give you the location of that last one you have not seen, but I won't be giving it out en masse.
Right, and I won't. If I did a video there, I would not explain where it's at.
Yeah. Keep those hidden, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, any plans or ambitions once to travel abroad anywhere? Is anywhere that you'd like to hike out of the country?
That's a big question there, because again, a lot of that comes down to expense. Obviously I'd like to, it wouldn't be that difficult to go up to Canada, to Banff and stuff like that. It's straight north of Glacier. But it's one place I always thought would be amazing, but from what I hear now, it's overcrowded, is Machu Picchu and places like that in South America. Mm-hmm. Just really seeing any of the ruins down in middle, in South America there would be amazing to me. But again, when you start looking at prices and you want to have a tour guide, not just necessarily because you can't do it on your own, but because they keep you safe.
Yeah.
Right.
From security.
It starts getting expensive to do that kind of stuff. And now, like I said, there's so many people doing it. I've heard now when you get to Machu Picchu to see this view, it's just crawling with people, and that wouldn't have the effect for me.
That's the same thing I see like with people like climbing Mount Everest now. You see all these pictures where they all go up, and it's like it's just a line of people as far as you can see, everybody trying to summit. And I mean, sure, would I like to be on top of Everest? Absolutely. But being around that many people would just ruin it for me.
Yeah.
It's how I feel about the AT, to be quite honest. It's not as special anymore because so many people have done it.
Yeah, well, and it does get crowded certain times a year. I'm not a huge people person. So my wife last year when I started the AT, she's like, well, you're kind of going like right in the bubble, when everybody's going to be there. I'm like, I know, I'm trying to get outside my comfort zone and like just make myself be around people and meet people for that experience as well. Because not only is it the journey, but like a lot of people like that social experience of meeting new people. And I did meet some really great people last year, but I see those lines. And like recently, I know Dixie did Kilimanjaro, and I just watched John Kelly talking about it too. And man, it's like, I don't know, it's cool, but you've got the porters. I don't know. It just kind of ruins it for me. Yeah. We're looking to go to. The reason I asked, we're looking to go to Iceland next year, and
that would be beautiful.
It's going to be, yeah. My wife had a trip planned with friends, and then COVID hit, and she lost a lot on that trip. So we've talked about it's really not too bad to get the plane tickets going over there, and then we looked at renting like a small camper van and just seeing as much of it as we can. And it's like $1,050 for a week to rent a camper van. So, I mean, if you thought
here for that,
right, for a week. And I mean, it's got a lot of small stuff, little fridge and stuff like that. But it's like, if you got a hotel room for a week, it'd cost you that in Iceland, I'm sure. So it's not too bad. So I didn't know if you had any kind of plans or wants to like ever like,
I mean, I would love something like that. It's just, I look at the expense. I'm like, all right, if you watch our trips, they're on the cheap as much as possible.
Yeah. And like you said, there is so much here.
So, Mark, do you have any aspirations of like doing a 14er, or have you done a 14er?
We did Quandary Peak in Colorado in 2020. That was 14,286 feet or whatever. So we've done one.
Wow.
Do you have aspirations to do any more? Or?
Oh, absolutely. We had hoped to do one this last trip to Colorado last year, and time just wasn't on our side for it. And I think Caden also kind of got he got a little bit of altitude sickness when we did Chasm Lake, and that just kind of ruined him for that trip on the height stuff. So we didn't bother with it. But I would love to go out to California and do, was it Mount McKinley?
Yeah,
I'd love to do that kind of thing.
What about other sport like kayak camping or canoe trips or bike packing or anything like? Have you considered any of those?
Yeah, we used to have a couple of our own kayaks, and we did a few little trips back in 2017, 2018, 2019 with them. I did kayak camp out there in the Dean Wilderness a couple of times. Nice. It was just solo, just by myself, but it was a really good time.
Did you leave your trash on the Peninsula Trail?
No.
I did that once. I guess it's been 2 years ago now. And I thought, well, I'm going to slip over onto this side out by the peninsula. And probably nobody ever goes here. Saw this just awesome campsite. I get there, 2 fire pits, both of them full of trash. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Here we go again. But that's how the Peninsula Trail is anymore. I can't believe they still let people go out there. That one's been so trashed, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So if expense was not an issue and you had time and money, what would be the first place you would go? Like you won the lottery, you told your Subaru folks, I'm out of here. And you grab Aiden out of college and you go, let's go, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not real positive. I know there's some amazing mountains in China that is just like, wow. Yeah. But I'm not sure about traveling in China. But, if you knew how to do it and expense wasn't an issue, there's just amazing stuff out there. I mean, there's amazing stuff everywhere. I'd love to go to Australia. and just see some of the outback, I think.
Where everything wants to kill you.
Absolutely. But you see what we do. We're like, oh, hey, let's go check out these animals that want to kill us.
Right.
I've had one or two Turon moments there where I was an idiot and probably a little too close to some wildlife.
Well, that's a good segue. What has been your wildlife experiences that have been dangerous and or yet awesome?
Well, probably my favorite that really I don't really consider too dangerous, but in 2019 when we camped in Yellowstone at Norris Campground, we was in the walk-in sites, and a whole herd of bison decided that's where they wanted to graze. And we had just gotten into the tent about 9 p.m. It wasn't fully dark out yet. And I heard something, and I thought for sure Caden had farted. No kidding. I look over at him, just kind of like, really? And he's like, what? And then I heard it again, but it was outside the tent. I unzip the window and look out there, and we're completely surrounded by bison. They're bumping into the tent, and everybody else's tent's out there. We're just
wow.
And it was an awesome experience because we were safe, sort of. But as far as not so smart, about 3 years ago, we were in Florida at St. Mark's Wildlife Refuge on the Panhandle, and of course, they have all these dikes between all these waterways. And you look down and you're kind of raised up walking the trails on the dikes, and you see all these gators out here, and every kind of water shorebird you can think of is out there.
Yeah.
Well, I see this big mound of dirt right by the water, and I'm thinking, man, if we go down here to this mound of dirt, we'll have this awesome view right down on this gator hole right here. And so we go down, and Caden, he was a little bit behind me. He was a little more nervous about it than I should have been. And get down to that dirt. Like I said, it's right at the water's edge, and it's pretty good pile of dirt. I step on it. Well, it's way softer than I expect. My foot just literally sinks.
Oh.
And when that happens, 3 feet from me in this grass around the edge, freaking gator splashes in the water. Oh my gosh.
No.
I felt like such an idiot. I turned around, looked at Caden, and was like, back up. And we did. There's nothing came of it, but I realized what an idiot I must have looked like to anybody else around there for even going down
Close to death, man. Look at that.
Yeah, that was dumb. Needless to say, that part was not left in the video.
The power of editing.
I will be at the spring meetup, by the way, there, Nicole. Yes,
he is coming. He said he's going to make us breakfast.
I don't know if Caden will come with me yet. I'll try. We'll see what he's got going on. Tonight, he's actually got midterms, so he's actually over Purdue right now taking some tests for calculus and such.
Does he still live at home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he does. We're about 3-4 miles from campus.
Okay.
We got a good bus system here. He jumps on the bus and goes over there most of the time.
Boy, that's a
nice.
lot. That's a good
saves a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's amazing how expensive housing and stuff is. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, cool.
So, as much as you've been out on the Smokies, any good bear encounters down there?
We've had a few. Honestly, my best bear encounter was actually over at Shenandoah. I've seen more bears in Shenandoah than anywhere else as far as black bears go.
Yeah.
And it was actually on a very popular trail, is the Dark Hollow Falls Trail, which has lots of people going up and down it. I'd already gone all the way down and was coming back up. And I was just talking away to Caden, just blabbering away as I do, and come around the corner, and 15 feet in front of us is a mama bear and 3 cubs.
Oh, no.
That's the worst.
And we just froze, I'm like, and they just started wandering up, going up the hill. And so we just stayed there. And of course, what do I do with my camera?
Well, yeah.
But yeah, that was scary there, just because mama and cubs and being that close and just literally walking up on them.
Did you scream out World Star? No.
No.
Okay, good.
The only time I've screamed is with snakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about snakes? Have you almost stepped on many? Have you?
Well, there's at least 2 times I can think of. Once in the Red River Gorge and once in Shenandoah. And the one in Red River Gorge was right at the end. Well, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. Remember, they had shut Red River Gorge down for like 2 months there early on. And they opened it back up for Memorial Weekend. And they opened it up on that Friday, which I had that Friday off. So Kate and I head down there that morning. We were some of the first people back into the gorge. And we went down around to the Indian staircase and all that area back there. And I come around the side of this one trail. And fortunately, I was leading, because usually Caden leads. And I almost stepped on this. It was probably about a 3 to 4 foot long rattler. And with my foot in the air, and I see it, and I literally had to leap off of my 1 foot that was still on the ground to go over it. And I turned around, and yeah, pretty much. Turned around, and it never budged. It never moved. It didn't even rattle. And of course, what do? Once again, we step back and get some video pictures. And we also seen a copperhead there that same day. Didn't step on it or anything, but Caden is actually way better at spotting snakes than I am. So it's another reason I think I let him lead so often.
Yeah. Speaking of snakes at the gorge, last year, Ross and Hoot and I were up at Eagle's Nest, and we'd been watching the sunset and standing out there holding hands and stuff. And but we'd been out there, So we're all right, let's go back to camp, get a fire going. That we turned around, and it was just kind of like where it was light enough you could still kind of see the trail, but dark enough you almost needed a flashlight kind of stuff. And we're heading back, and Hoot says, "Hold on, stop! I'm gonna flip my light on." Why he thought he needed his light, whatever. He says he still doesn't know why. He's like, something told me to turn my light on. He stopped and flipped his light on, and he was standing about a foot from a coiled up copperhead right in the middle of the trail. Like one more step, and he would have stepped right on it. He's freaking out, getting back, and that's the first copperhead I've ever seen. Everybody sees all these snakes at the gorge, and I've only seen that, and I seen whatever it was, a rat snake or whatever he picked up on that same trip. He saw it on the side of the trail. He's like, "Oh, look, a snake!" And he picks it up, and things biting him. I'm like, "What are you doing?" But that was.
It's funny you say that because I've seen so many venomous snakes, except here in Indiana. I don't know. Everybody else sees them all the time there in the Hoosier National Forest and such. I've not ever had an encounter with one here.
I saw a really cool hognose snake out at the Deem last year. And I guess, I don't know the difference. I'm kind of ignorant in the subject, but I guess they're venomous, but not poisonous. Like, I think they can make you really sick, but they can't really kill a human. I wasn't messing with it. I saw it kind of crossing the road, and I did the thing that you should do. So I got out of my truck. I'm like, "Hey, look, a snake. Cool." And, videoed it, took some pictures, but I haven't haven't seen. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. That little really small one. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
He just corrected me there. I guess I have seen one here in Indiana.
Better late than never. Tony's rolling in.
Hey, Tony, how's your wire business? So basically, I want to know, pop quiz, favorite backcountry campsite at the Deem. Go.
Wow.
Ooh, good question.
Thank you.
I know in 2020 when I went out there on my own and I just started bushwhacking straight. I went first down to the old ruin of the old stone cabin. And then I just started heading up over hills and everything until I got way out on top of a high hill overlooking the water all the way around. And there was this awesome site up there. Of course, I had to bushwhack my way all the way through there, through the thickets and everything. And it was obvious nobody had used that one in forever. And that's where I stayed. And
nice.
It was just so great because it was so out of the way from everything else. Not a soul around except some coyotes. But
that was always
great.
One of the reasons I go to the ponds, honestly.
Yeah.
For that reason. It's away from everybody.
Yeah, I must have passed 3 or 4 ponds going out to that site too. I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah. There's so many, I think, campsites from years ago out there that's like Chris said. Those ponds, some of the ones I've been to with you, we'll find an old fire ring and it's all kind of covered up. You can tell like nobody's used this in 10, 20 years.
Right.
I think you made a video on that. Correct? That spot you're talking about? Because I've got a video in mind that I remember you doing something like that. So I think I saw that one too and thought, yeah, we need to explore that a lot more. Chris and I have got a couple more spots that we're going to try to hit this spring that are way off the radar. So if we can make this happen, I think that should be pretty cool as well. But
yeah, they're like hard to get to. You have to bushwhack for like a mile, and you don't know how you feel about it. And
the good old Deem.
Those are the best, aren't they?
Yeah. Keep it clean, folks, so we can keep that place. That worries me all the time. Is so many people going out there nowadays that hey, it's it's everybody's. Let's all enjoy it, but taking care of it. I'm getting worried, people, and I mean everywhere else as well. So, well, if anybody else has some questions for Tony, pop them up here. We're getting toward the end of the interview, but I want to let everybody get a question if they got any more for Mark.
Yeah, let's ask him a hard-hitting questions about his future in broadcast journalism.
Broadcast journalism.
Or the Indiana Department of Tourism.
Right.
But I definitely appreciate you coming on, Mark. Like I said, it's been too long since we got to chat. I got to finally meet you in person last year at the fall meetup, and that was great.
After watching you for years.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about these meetups too. Is like, we can have this podcast and talk, but to hang out around a campfire at night and just finally get to meet all the people that you watch the videos, they watch yours. We comment back and forth and chat little bits and pieces here. That's one thing I always say. Like, I got into YouTube because I thought it'd be cool to document my trips and stuff like that. But really, it's ended up being just the community of people is amazing. It's just amazing. And then when you think about, like, I guess for me anyways, I don't think of Indiana as like this great giant outdoor state like you would like Colorado or something, right? Chris does. But I mean, you two guys both have proven, like, if you go to your channels, there is a ton of places in Indiana, and there's a ton of people here that like I said, this community is surprising. Indiana, we have so many people, and the guys in Ohio too, like some of the YouTubers that are in Ohio, they're like, man, you guys in Indiana have a huge group of people that are outdoor YouTubers.
So thankful to welcome you into the fold, Mark. This is
it's been a long time coming too, because there's so many times I've planned on coming to these different meetups. Not even just the ones that you guys have put on. There's been the Ohio ones. Yeah. Kentucky Woodsman does one in Kentucky. They always invites me to, and and of course also the Red River Gorge one that Nicole did last fall that I was supposed to go to. And it always seems like there's something else that comes around about that time. So I already, like with this spring meetup we got coming up, I already checked all the calendars for anything that Caden has going on at college and all that. And I told her, all right, that weekend doesn't have anything major going on. So even if you don't go, I am. So
right.
Awesome.
Yeah. If whenever that Red River Gorge one gets scheduled, if you can pull that one's a great one too. This year, the second year that I went, and that's so many great people, like Caveman OS hiking, Max, great guy. Didn't know his channel because there's so many channels now. It's hard to even
Grateful
see all
Trekker.
outdoor ones. Great, Grateful Trekker. Got to meet Senior Hiker. A lot of great people this year, and it's just probably going to keep growing, as we know. So
yes, for sure.
Yeah, Nicole says we will do the Gorge meetup again in October. She's saying so.
Yeah.
Now that she's in charge of it.
Well, that was Jason that kind of put the first one on, and Nicole kind of grabbed the bull by the horns last year. And
see, we Indiana people have to do everything.
Yeah, we got to, Indiana people arranging the Kentucky meetup, so that's how that works.
Yeah.
But no, it'll be great to see.
You don't want Ohio
Hopefully...
people. You don't want Ohio people doing it. So
they can bring their water. No, no, we don't want them to do it.
Oh, and we talked. Speaking of Ohio people, we talked to Restless, and I told him, it's like, hey, bring your guys over. Let's have a big mashup. I'd like to see the Kentucky guys, like, get Jeremiah and Jason up here to the Indiana one, and get Restless and Goat and whoever else, Lance, everybody from Ohio, and let's make it one big tri-state meetup, right?
That would be awesome.
How cool that! I mean, gosh, we're gonna have to get a permit for the Deem. Over 75 people, we have to get a permit, is what the ranger told us. That would be incredible if we were worried. Actually, if we were actually worried about having too many people. Yep, I think so.
Well, Mark, you've just been lovely this evening. We appreciate talking to you. You just
definitely.
You're a cool guy. I enjoy watching your channel, and I enjoy piggybacking on the places that you find that then I can go to.
I think we all do that, don't we?
Yes.
So often. I've still got a list of things still to see here in Indiana and out beyond. So if
you could send that over, that'd be great.
Send your list so we have something to do too. Yeah. We're getting tired of the Deem, actually. No, I don't know if I ever get tired of that place.
I mean, it's camping. You can't get tired of camping, right?
Right. So we'll go ahead and end it here. But if everybody would go over and check out
Yeah.
Mark's channel,
Let me
Slone's
show
Wilderness
his channel.
Expeditions, if you have not, give him a subscribe and check out some of his videos. Like I said, his editing is great. And out of that 365 videos he has up, you have very few reviews. Like, it's mainly trips.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trips.
I don't spend good money on the stuff to be reviewed. That's my problem.
Awesome.
But yeah,
check
if
him out.
everybody will go check out his channel, we'd appreciate it. With that, Mark, we'll put you in the green room and we'll catch up with you here in just a minute. But I appreciate your time and appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
All right. I love it. Great to hear from Mark, right?
Yeah, good guy.
Yep, absolutely.
And the fact that
Max.
he agreed to come on our show is testament to his character.
Right. That you trust us enough. But I appreciate everybody that showed up tonight in the chat. If you guys wouldn't mind giving us a like on this video, if you haven't subscribe, share it. We're trying to get the word out there on this podcast. If you were listening to this on audio on our many platforms that we're on, if you would give us a 5-star review or leave a comment, something like that, let us know what you like, what you don't like about it, and share that as well so we can get this show out to a bunch of different people and make this community grow. Right, Chris?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate everybody who listens and who watches.
Definitely. So, you got any parting words of wisdom, Christopher?
No.
I didn't think so.
Well, just give me a second.
Listen, I'm giving the people what they want. They want to see me pick on you.
Yeah, I know, but
watch my video, my latest video, from this weekend. Go ahead and hit that one up, the Final Gear Shakedown, if you like to see me pick on Chris, because that's pretty much
the whole video.
what I did the whole weekend. Pretty much the whole video was just me picking on Chris, and Chris really appreciates it.
And I'm trying to, enjoy my place in beauty, nature, and you're like, giving me crap. No,
never.
Just thank you for if tuning in. Thank you for tuning into my channel, The Hiking Guy. Thank you for not tuning into Carlson Adventures. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I guess that's where you can find us, right? Like Carlson Adventures, Carlson_Adventures on Instagram, Carlson Adventures on TikTok. What you got, Chris? That Hiking Guy?
Hold on. Whoops. Smokey, the meetup is the weekend of April 28th at the Charles C. Dean Wilderness Blackwell Horse Camp in the Hoosier National Forest. We'd like to see you there. You and the tribe. You
and Chad and Sam. Come on up, man. That would be awesome.
Come on with it.
Bring the Kentucky guys up. I didn't mean to leave you. Man, I totally sorry about that, Nick. Totally left those guys out when I said the Kentucky guys. I'm like Jason and Jeremiah. Shame on me.
Yeah,
so you got to come to the meetup. You can be right nasty. Great.
Yep.
Everybody, once again, thanks and sharing your time. That peace out.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and get out there and explore.